peach farmers and microchip designers seem both to have equal problems with our current system.
You know, Ray, basically, I think the public doesn't seem to understand the fact that we have a legal program for bringing in temporary agricultural workers, that there is no reason for agricultural producers to be hiring illegal alien workers. I've been down in Mexico. I've seen the visa issuance process with long lines of people lining up to get their visas to come into the United States to work legally in agriculture. It has there's no ceiling on it. It's unlimited. But for employers, it is cheaper for them to hire somebody who shows up with false documents or no documents than it is to use that legal program, because of the fact that there are protections for American workers in that program. You have to offer that job to American workers that want it first, and there are protections for the foreign workers in that guest worker program. You have to provide transportation, you have to provide shelter, and you have to provide access to food. That makes it more expensive than hiring the illegal worker who shows up. So, you know, until we have an enforcement system that requires all people to play on a level playing field, you're going to have employers who are going to try to cut costs by taking advantage of illegal immigrant workers.
So, Jack, I've spoken to farmers in the Southeast who say that the agricultural worker program is fine on paper, but doesn't really work that well when you're trying to get in specific numbers of workers for a specific period of time when your perishable fruit is ready to be picked from the trees. But it sounds like you're saying that they would just rather have lower cost work, that it really isn't that difficult to work within the law.
You know, there are many more employers in the Southeast who are using the legal temporary worker program than in the Southwest. It's because in the Southwest is where you have such a large concentration of illegal immigrant workers.
Are we going to be able to continue this debate without getting into nativist, indulging some of the uglier sides of American political debate? Can we have a clean argument on what's in the best interest of the United States, what protects human rights, and what provides a durable path out into the future for both employers and employees? Or are we going to have a do-over of 2007, Laura?
We really hope that it's not. We want to have a conversation, a rational conversation about a substantive policy, about solving this critical problem in this country. We absolutely want to see reasonable voices coming forward, expressing their opinions. We have encouraged that, and we look forward to continuing to do that in the future with people who want to have conversations about a public policy problem and coming to a solution that Americans want to see.
Is it understandable that there's not a lot of appetite for this when unemployment is hovering around 10%?
Well, I think that's a generalization. I think when you have to look at
well, is there generally not a lot of appetite for this right now?
It's understandable that people would have that reaction. But on the other side, you have to think about the boost to the economy that a comprehensive immigration reform vehicle might really offer. You're bringing 12 million people out of the shadows. They're going to buy houses. They're going to pay taxes. They're going to, as Congressman Gutierrez said, they're going to buy milk and groceries. And then the next generation is going to be even more able to contribute to the economy. So we're really doing something that in the long term, and maybe even in the short term, is going to help the current economy.
Jack, I think Eleanor's answer brings out one of the real difficulties, which is that we're having a discussion about the future, because comprehensive immigration reform in any form would talk about the rules from here on out. But we've also got the overhang of our previous failures, which is 12 million people, and we have to decide as a country what to do about them as well.
I think it is not just the unemployment that is driving national concern with regard to illegal immigration. It is the perception that we do not have control over our borders, that we do not have control over our work sites to make sure that only people who are legally in the country are working in American jobs. We're not going to have that until we have a serious policy of enforcement of our immigration laws, which unfortunately is lacking at the present time. The laws are all there that are basically necessary, with one major exception, I think, and that is that all employers in the country are required to apply the same standards of protecting jobs for American workers, and that is that they have to verify with the government that their new hires are legally in the country. We need to adopt that system so all employers are playing on a level playing field, and so that those employers who are continuing to abuse illegal workers by hiring them at low wages will be no longer able to hide behind the statement, "I didn't know that person was illegal." They will be exposed when all employers are required to use the E-Verify system, so that then they can be prosecuted for breaking the law.